Welcome back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
All right, so our weekend Westworld marathon continues as we try to catch up. We have just watched what would be, at the time of this recording, last week's Westworld, Season 2, Episode 7. Which I'm going to try to say, Les Escorches.
I think it's Les Escorches.
Oh, wait,
don't know.
Google says it will tell me what it is.
Let's listen.
Let me try to, hold
make
on.
her-
Google, you're getting too aggressive here. Oh, no, all right, here we go. I'm going to try playing it.
Les Escorches.
Well, that
Escorches.
didn't help.
Les Escorches.
Let me try that one more time.
Les Escorches.
Les Escorches. I find that hard to believe.
And what language was that? Did you say not French?
That was alien. I have no fucking idea.
That was alien. Okay.
Les Escorches.
Maybe it's Android.
Well, when I typed it into Google Translate, and I figured it was French because it looks French, but French doesn't work for the translation. It says, Google says that this is Catalan. And says the translation is, you go down.
You really?
You go down. That's what it says here on the translation.
You go down.
You go down.
Okay.
What? But didn't you find a different translation?
I did, and it was French. Actually, and it said it was the flayed or the tormented.
Well, I mean, I guess that could work.
And it does say it was French.
Okay. I suppose someone that speaks French might know
It
that.
says loosely translated. We should ask your daughter.
She
She doesn't know. I asked her to tell me something in French Friday.
Yeah. Was it something simple like, where is the bathroom? Because she's only in French 1. She's not going to have... French 1, they don't study words like tormented.
No, it was just like she could tell me a 3-word sentence, and it was like, I want food or something like that.
She's got like an A+ in that class. I don't know how she knows so little. I mean, it is the end of the school year. She should know a little bit.
She probably knows more. Yeah, I put her on the spot. Okay.
So... could be the tormented, or could be you go down.
It kind of all means the same thing.
It all kind of works.
It's all bad.
Because this was, the humans went down pretty hard in this episode. But also, there were a couple people that were tormented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So either way, I guess it works. Way to go. Way to universally translate the Westworld people.
And we also find out, like with last episode, we were talking about the meaning of, what word was it?
I don't remember.
It was the faithfulness and the...
Oh, fidelity.
Fidelity, right. Yeah. They talked about faithfulness in this one.
Mm-hmm. And the whole concept of what that fidelity test was. It almost seems like kind of a throwaway to have put that scene in last episode and have it seem like it was leading up to something. And it turns out it was really just some memory from a super long time ago. Kind of weird.
I don't know.
It was just like this random red herring, almost like just to, bulk up an
give
episode.
Us something to think about.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
Kind of annoys me now that we're thinking about it. I'm kind of annoyed at them.
Sorry.
It's okay. I forgive you, babe. So I try to break these episodes up in my notes into whether it's timelines or storylines, and this one definitely made it kind of hard. I mean, almost everything was one big storyline, and they all come together eventually. Is there anything we should talk about before? I mean, we just recorded yesterday, so we talked about generalities kind of plenty, but I know you have something for afterwards, some theories or something?
Maybe.
Okay. We did have one tweet that so we mentioned that some people like J. Sarge and Arthur, they have been tweeting at us or DMing us since these last 2 episodes, but we ignore them as much as possible. But since I get notifications on my phone when Twitter stuff happens, it's one thing when something's truncated. It's like, hey, I just watched the latest episode and I got to say ... And I can ignore that. But there was the one tweet from Arthur that just said TEDDYNATOR.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
You can't ignore that one.
He is totally TEDDYNATOR.
But it wasn't a huge spoiler because we knew that Teddy had been reprogrammed to be something awful.
He was already TEDDYNATOR in 2 episodes ago.
Well, he had been just 2 episodes ago, he was converted to TEDDYNATOR. So it wasn't a big surprise that we were going to see him going ballistic, but it was impressive.
Yes.
It was impressive.
Do you like Teddy better now or before?
Probably now. I mean, it was kind of nice having him be like the good guy and trying to offset some of Dolores' crazy. But I do love some badass fight scenes. Mm-hmm. And he started doing a good job there. A little too short, if anything. Not enough TEDDYNATOR. But let's just get it out of the way. Let's get done with the Man in Black's plotline. Can we do that?
I would love to do that.
Old Man William. So things start coming together again from like a flashback point of view. And it seems like the park is huge, and yet they just happen to wander into each other. Kind of weird, but
it is very
the park's
strange.
Not as big as it seems.
Yeah, maybe it's probably like Disneyland size.
Yeah, maybe it's just that, and then like one section is these open plains, and then you got the little cities pockmarking the landscape. Yeah, it could be a lot smaller than we
Who knows?
think it is. Although you can sit on a train for like overnight and not be at your destination yet.
Can you?
Yeah.
Well,
that was like young William and Dolores when they were on their adventure with.
They were going somewhere else, though.
Well, it was still within Westworld. It was all contained within the Westworld bounds. So it's a pretty big park.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think I don't know. I used to think it was a different world, but you say it's an island.
Like a planet. Yeah. Well, they said it's an island. They said that in season 2, episode 1.
Okay.
They mentioned the island nature. And how they all have to take boats to get there. Okay. So we had Maeve and her daughter hiding in a cabin, and because Man in Black was coming over the horizon, and Maeve starts having all these flashbacks, and of course they're in this little abandoned, burned out looking shack, and maybe it's the same shack from the flashbacks, but maybe not. I'm not entirely clear on that, but either way, he comes in.
Right? And he's looking pretty old now. Like,
yeah, this whole experience is definitely taking its toll on him. Mm-hmm. He's been shot already a couple times.
Right, which comes to my theory, or a lot of people's theory, I think, that he's actually a host.
And he doesn't know it?
And he doesn't know it.
Is that possible?
He got shot by all of the people coming, the naked people from cold storage.
Well, yeah, but everything he's been, like, they've all been, like, these just lucky grazing hits off of his arms and stuff. Yeah. He got shot, I think, in the first episode.
But they didn't show what happened after that. Really? They just shot him in the arm and that was it? They let him go?
Yeah, we have no idea.
There were so many of them.
Because he was, like, smiling as they were charging at him, but they weren't firing while charging. They were just charging. So he could have run for it. I would have.
I thought he got shot in that scene.
At the end of season 1?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
okay.
it was just a grazing hit on his arm. He was okay. And it was the same arm that had just been dislocated, so it's probably kind of numb if I had to take
If you're that old and you get shot in the arm, you're not riding around on a horse.
Hey, but it's a world of perfect health. Diseases have been conquered.
But he got shot. Did he go back and get patched up and get it removed?
I just mean like his old man body is probably more resilient than our old people bodies.
You think he's carrying around some stim packs and stuff?
He's probably got some stim. Well, he does. I mean, he went into that after he got shot in episode 1 of this season. He went into that bar and there was this little secret panel behind the bar and he pulls out some kind of med kit from there, I think.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, I think he patched himself up using that.
Interesting.
And then there was something else in there and I'm not sure if
I think he's a host.
What that was. Look, he could be anything. Well, could he be?
I don't know.
Oh, it's the Bernard. Okay, so it's well, because what we learned in this episode is that Bernard is a host and he's a copy of Arnold, but not really. Ford made him unique so that he wouldn't be a perfect copy of Bernard, because then he would degrade.
If you
try to make him too human. So could old man William actually be a copy of William, real William?
Well,
because
maybe not, because
he'd be going cray.
His daughter came to see him.
Right. And there's no like lack of recognition or anything on their parts.
I don't know.
No, he's got to be human because Ford's
he got
testing
shot
him
so many times.
He did get shot a lot of times, but he's not looking good. He doesn't come through this like
True.
dusting himself off and being like, well, on we go.
But Clementine didn't look good either. Teddy's looking a little rough around the edges now.
Well, sure. I mean, they take damage. Although Dolores looked fine. She had blood on her shirt, but not on her body.
Right. She got shot in the shoulder.
Yeah, she's okay now. Okay. So daughter's super scared. Man in Black enters the cabin. They have a little back and forth because Man in Black's like, this can't be Ford's plot line.
What are you
Fuck
doing
you,
here?
Ford.
Right.
You know, this is stupid. And she's like, I'm not a plot, you idiot. And then she shoots him, which was awesome.
Yes.
But again, only in the shoulder. These guys, yeah, it's movie aiming. It's like how
These are their
stormtroopers can't hit
robots.
shit.
Why can't they aim?
Right. If anyone should be able to destroy someone on the first shot every time, it should be one of these hosts. But then they are programmed to not be perfect. But Maeve isn't. Maeve is open and awesome. I don't know, babe. She shoots him in the shoulder, starts making his host posse attack him.
That was awesome.
So cool.
I loved it.
So he got shot first by her in the arm, and then the other arm got hit by one of his dudes. And then he got shot in the leg by another one of his dudes.
Right.
So he had to like take out all of his guys. One of them gets behind him and starts choking him out, but he manages to stab that guy to death. That was really something. And I wrote down his quote after that. He says, "You made your point, Ford. We both know this isn't where you want me to die." So he thinks he's talking to Ford through Maeve or
Right.
just through anyone else.
He thinks Ford's controlling everybody.
Yeah. Which, to a point, maybe, but not directly. Most of the time. And then Lawrence comes and saves the day. Maeve's about to shoot William dead. But Lawrence says, nope, nope, nope. He's my buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And she tries to Jedi mind trick him.
Doesn't work. I wonder why.
Yeah. So what do you suppose that means? Maybe it's...
I mean, eventually it worked, but not really.
Well, no, she was just appealing to him to remember.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't manage to Jedi mind trick him. So
Right.
he must be... Well, he must be one of the originals. Right? Because
Probably.
He's different from the others. We now know that for sure. We didn't really know that for sure before, I don't think. I mean, William definitely had a familiarity with him because he's been around since the beginning, but so have hundreds of hosts.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, what was the name of that town? Pariah, right? Pariah's full of people and bodies and fuckers painted gold with huge schlongs and stuff. What? You remember all that?
Yeah.
So there's all those hosts, but they can't all be part of that special original batch. But to be immune to Jedi mind trick, don't you think that makes Lawrence one of them? One of the originals?
So you're saying all of the originals are immune to Jedi mind tricks?
Probably. Because they have a different kind of brain makeup, different kind of base programming. Made
Yeah.
to control the weaker bunch.
Maeve could have tried to control Dolores or Teddy or any one of those hosts there to... I'm moving forward,
She
but
wasn't really up to it, I suppose. But
maybe.
But maybe
know.
she also can't. Maybe they're immune too. But she does convince Lawrence to remember that Man in Black is not necessarily worth saving.
He's not his friend.
So we're watching this go down, and Lawrence turns and is like, fuck you, you killed my family so many times, you son of a bitch. You said that we have to suffer to live, and I thought that was going to, who did I say was going to come save the day? Oh, Grace.
Yeah, you thought his daughter was going
Or
to.
Emily, or whatever.
We
the
didn't
fuck
see
it
her
is.
this episode.
Yeah, a little disappointing. But I thought she was going to be the one to come in and shoot Lawrence dead. I figured this is the end of the line for Lawrence, and I think it was. But I figured it was going to be Grace that comes in and saves Dad, because at this point, he got shot in the stomach. Who shot him in the stomach? Lawrence did.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Like in his, right here, in his
Yeah.
sternum.
Lawrence shot him right in the guts.
Probably nicked a lung. Maybe.
Oh, the lungs. I think
No,
he was
it's
under
right
the
here.
rib cage, but he could have nicked. Look, damage has been done, no matter how you slice it, so to speak. But yeah, Lawrence did shoot him. Maeve never shot him again, right?
Mm-mm.
Uh-huh. But then it wasn't Grace; it was the dune buggies. So we missed something in there. Lee made a phone call.
Right. They didn't show his rescue.
Yeah, they didn't show what happened after that, which you were asking later. What happened to Sylvester and Felix?
Right. Where are they?
We didn't see them in this episode. You would think maybe the rescue team would have
Picked
gotten
them up,
too,
yeah.
but I mean, they could have been in one of the other dune buggies, but we never saw them get out of one later.
It's kind of strange.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and then they took Maeve back to the...
Well, they shot Lawrence, and then daughter,
Gets taken.
nameless daughter,
Mhm.
runs away while Maeve just stands there and screams.
No!
But she gets picked up by the Indian folks, the Native Americans,
The daughter, right.
who we assume are hosts, but maybe not. I don't have any clue anymore. But they take her, assumingly to save her at this point, right?
They didn't knock her over the head or scalp her.
Right. They just took her.
Now, we remember in the past they were trying to scalp Maeve.
Well, that was when they were running through storylines. But now they're not. They're not
But-
on script anymore.
Okay, so but we were contemplating whether or not they may not be hosts. Maybe they're just regular people.
That is a theory that we have posited.
Although, if it's so much in the future, do we know when this takes place?
No clue.
Okay, if it's so much in the future, there probably wouldn't be people running around looking like that.
Well, in order for the theory that they're real Native Americans to be true, they would have to be hiding in plain sight by pretending to be old school cowboys and Indians type of people.
Aye.
It's
All right.
probably not the case. They're probably hosts, but they're just like weird special hosts that are super in tune and trying to save people instead of go to war.
I don't think that's what it is.
Either way, it speaks very well of the Native American population there.
Trying to save people.
They're the best ones of the bunch, of
Right.
both sides. They're that neutral party in the middle. It's just like, can we just help people out and fuck this shit? So daughter gets taken, and then Maeve's just standing there, and then she gets gunned down because she has no special powers over humans. So they shoot her, but they're about to like put her down. And Lee's like, no,
She's
help her.
special.
She's my special one. I love her. And he picks her up and carries her off. So Lee
He's a
is
good guy.
growing.
He's a good guy now.
I don't know. I mean, why did he call in for help? If he's on
It was
Maeve's side.
unsafe. He wants to live.
True. Self-preservation comes first. I can understand that.
And he probably knew what was going to happen in that storyline.
But they weren't, I don't know, they weren't on the storyline. And they didn't seem to even notice Man in Black being there. Or
It was the same thing that happened over and over, which is what made me think that maybe he's a host.
Lee? Oh, Man in Black.
Man
that
in
he
Black.
was like sort of called back to that area.
Yeah.
Like he's running on a loop. That's possible, I guess. Interesting.
Plus, he
theory.
sees Ford so often.
Well, if Ford's just fucking with him, then that's why. Oh, you mean like in the park in season 1 and stuff too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. But Ford didn't seem to exercise any special control over him. But who knows? You could be right. And it's not just you. It's the population too. There's people on the internet saying he's a host.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's possible. I consider it a long shot. I think there's some point to him being human and running through all this, but we don't know exactly what that is yet. Maybe the whole point of this is the transformation of the Man in Black into seeing the hosts as people, and therefore maybe putting a stop to the whole overall Delos plan of just farming human beings and making them immortal.
Gonna have to think this one through.
It's a spiritual journey to Ford's rig.
Well, we
But
did say, Jay Sarge said, or I don't know, one of us said that perhaps the key was him finding his humanity again and caring for and trying to protect these people,
yeah,
robots.
We definitely discussed that. Yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. This is all like Ford's attempt to save someone that was probably his friend once. We don't actually know.
He loved Dolores.
Who?
No, I'm sorry. William.
Well, real William loved Dolores, but we don't know if real William ever met Ford. But Ford also, Ford loves his hosts in a fucked up way.
Kind of. I don't know if he does or not. I'm not clear on that.
Suffering leads to their awakening, right? So he is doing what he has to do to make them sentient, I suppose.
Okay. Well, what's next?
For who? Oh, in the plot? Well, okay. So Maeve is gunned down, right? And Lee saves her. There was something else I was going to say about that. It's like whether or not Lee is a good guy at this point, I don't know for sure. But the fact that he didn't want Maeve shot anymore indicates that maybe it was just that very moment of seeing her scream as her daughter's taken away. But he's definitely seeing her as alive now, as something different, at least something worth saving, which is kind of cool. And then they drive off, and Man in Black is just hiding somewhere, bleeding.
Hiding behind a tree trunk or something.
So how does he get out of that? I mean, that's like, I could liken that to like Stannis after the battle at Winterfell, right? He's just like sitting up against a tree, just bleeding. He's going to die eventually, and then Brienne shows up to finish him off. But it's got to be Grace, right?
Yeah, I bet you're right. She's going to come save him.
As soon as she nurses
I
him back
told
to
you
health.
weren't going to die here.
Right. Right. You're trying so hard to die. You son of a bitch. She got to punch him a couple times, like after she fixes him.
Yeah.
Do you think she's carrying her own stim packs or some other kind of first aid? She probably has something with her.
I'm sure she has all kinds of
She's
stuff.
very resourceful. That one. She's smart lady.
We'll
all right,
see.
so she's going to be the one to save him. I think we can all agree on that. Okay, what else did we have? We had the future. Or whatever. So there's like the present real time, and then there's the whole assault on the Mesa. So the present real time after the assault on the Mesa, or the future, however you want to phrase it, that was relatively a small amount of stuff. So let's talk about that real quick. You're looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? So this was like, at the beginning of the episode, we see like Ashley and Bernard are talking. They're together, so that's definitely after the assault on the Mesa. And Strand comes in and says, let's go out for a walk. They take him to Ford's old house. Charlotte's there. They find the basement. Teresa's blood is on the wall. Mm-hmm. So they think that either Ashley or Bernard had something to do with Teresa being killed.
How do we know this was after the attack?
It has to be after the attack on the Mesa, because before the attack on the Mesa, Bernard was with Elsie.
No.
Like, we know that he was in the cradle when the train hit and the explosion happened.
Right.
And that's when the attack on the Mesa started.
Yes.
So in order for them to be, for Bernard to be getting interrogated as a host, for them to find this room full of Bernards, which is what they find at Ford's house, and realize that Bernard's been a host this whole time, for all of that to be going down, that's got to be after the Battle of the Mesa, with just those few survivors that are left.
I don't know.
Because otherwise Bernard's not with any of them.
Well, where was he before?
He
was with Elsie.
Right, he was with Elsie. That's all the other stuff that happened that we'll talk about.
Okay.
But this has to be after the battle. So they realize that Bernard is a host. They find a room full of Bernards, which is kind of awesome. And I was likening that to what I said right after episode 6, which we just watched, which is like, maybe there's a room somewhere with like a whole bunch of Teddys in it. And every time Teddy gets killed,
it's Teddy's
room. They
room.
need some time to turn over the Teddy bodies. So they actually just take his brain out, put it in a new Teddy body, and send that one out while they fix up the old Teddy body.
But that doesn't seem to be happening back at... That doesn't seem to be happening back at the Mesa. That seemed to only happen in these private rooms because they seem surprised by this.
Who seems surprised?
Charlotte and...
Oh. Well, they were surprised because it's a room full of Bernards.
Okay.
And it's in this house that no one ever knew about.
That's the only reason they were surprised?
I think so. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that there's a room full of Teddy bodies somewhere. It
Well,
just
I
seems
hope
like
so.
from the thing we saw, like when Maeve escaped and she's running around naked and she finds the room full of bodies getting hosed off. Like, it was dark. It was after the park had basically, like, closed down for the night and everyone's in bed. They're just, like, hosing bodies off. The time it's got to take to fix the bodies up properly so that the skin is smooth and flawless again and there's no bullet holes anywhere and you got to get the bullets out and you got to do all these... That would take so much manpower to do it all in one night. It's got to be more of, like, an assembly line.
I think we should go back and look at that and pause it so we can see, because I think that those were all dead Bernards. Those had shots in the head, and they were damaged.
Right. A couple of them definitely, like one of the ones in the front, like his face was all split open. Mm-hmm. So I think you're right. I think those were old dead Bernards that Ford just didn't know what to do with, I guess. I don't know. But
I don't know why they would keep him there.
He had that printing machine in that room, and he said he could print a new host in a few days. It was slower than the ones back at the office.
Right. So those ones must just work in a day or a night, 12 hours. Who knows? Gosh, that's fast.
Right. Why repair the bodies? You can just print a new one. I'm sure it costs money, but I think you have to have extras of each host to swap them out.
I hope we get to see maybe that's what Maeve is going to do right now. Maybe she's going to
go find a room full of Teddys.
No, of herself.
Room full of herself. Oh, that'd be so fucked up.
She can just swap her brain.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Wait, you're right. That would be awesome and fucked up.
That would be creepy. Find a room full of yourself.
What would you do first?
With myself? What would I do? I don't think I would do anything with myself. Right. I can do things with myself all the time.
Yeah, but it's different.
Do things to myself? What would you do first?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be gross.
It's just yourself. Who wants to do anything for yourself?
I don't know. I just assume.
No, that would be weird. Gives me the creeps.
I think some people would do stuff with themselves.
Like what? Do tell.
Just see what it's like.
What? See what's like.
I think this came up once on like a Smodcast I was listening to, which would be like, if there was a clone of you, then whatever you do, it's not gay. It's like masturbating. It's not gay because it's you. So you're free to experiment. I still don't think I'd want to do that, but
why would you? Yeah, I mean, you have to be
sure some people
sexually attracted and aroused to yourself in a weird way.
I think some people would.
Okay.
All right. I don't know. Write us. Tell us.
Would you?
What would you do with a room full of yourself?
What would you do?
Yeah. At Kid Free Weekend on Twitter. Okay. So they find the whole bunch of Bernards, and then Bernard's in trouble. Done. They start waterboarding him. Like, that's what I thought it looked like at first. And then they were talking about that too, which was like, it's basically waterboarding for hosts.
Oh,
like, we're
yeah.
telling them they can't breathe and we're putting them into a panic state. That's fucked up.
That is mean.
But then Charlotte's kind of being like good cop. Like, it's okay, Bernard. I know you're confused, but it's going to be all right. Just tell us
hate
what we
her
want to
so
know.
much.
Yeah, she's terrible. The actress is awesome.
Yes.
Let's agree on that.
I hope
That's
she's
the top.
nice. I hope she's not like that in real life. She does
She couldn't possibly
play a villain pretty well.
Yeah. But she played Valkyrie well, too. Not the nicest of ladies, but a hero in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we know at this point in, like, the flash forward, Dolores led the attack on the Mesa. Bernard says he doesn't remember anything about it. And we don't know why Bernard wouldn't remember anything about that, but I guess we'll find out. And then at the end of the episode, there's a little more of that. They're just talking about how Bernard's brain is, like, under siege, like he's trying to debug his own head.
Right.
But what we get out of it is that Charlotte is asking him where Peter's control unit is. But you pointed out something weird about that scene. Like they bothered to go through it twice. Once we didn't see, or once we couldn't hear the answers. We just saw Bernard and Charlotte mouthing to each other.
Mm-hmm. And it looked like he said the same thing. Because I was watching his lips when he said it, and then I watched his lips again when he said it out loud. Mm-hmm. And he definitely said 4 at the end.
But why would they obscure that?
Yeah.
So I mean,
we should watch that part again,
there's probably something fishy.
Must be.
But what could Charlotte be up to? I can't think of any motivation for her to have a lie ready at this point, unless it's some way to like save her own skin if she thinks she's in trouble with Strand. I don't know. I think she outranks Strand. But it was weird. Why not just say it? She gets him to say something. She might be whispering something to him, but her face is kind of behind his at the camera angle that we had.
Right.
And then she calls everybody else in to have him repeat that Peter Abernathy's control core is in Sector 16, Zone 4. Mm-hmm. Didn't say what park, so probably still Park 1, Westworld.
It's really Sector 6, Zone 4.
And they're going to go 10 sectors off because... Oh, but then Strand says they're going for a ride back to the Valley Beyond, which we know is a thing. The Valley. The excavation that we saw in the earlier episodes, right? So it's all leading to that same place still. I don't know. I can't think of any reason for Charlotte to be manipulating Bernard into saying that, and yet it was very weirdly shot.
Right. It must be something.
Maybe we'll find out tonight.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad we were behind and now we're caught up.
It does add a little extra excitement, right? Instead of that, oh, now we have to wait a week.
Right.
Fuck. But let's make sure we stay on top of that tonight.
Okay.
We got 3 episodes left. All right, so the whole attack on the Mesa. Lots of action. Oh, this was a good one. It was almost like, I mean, it wasn't as action-packed as Battle of the Bastards or anything like that, but it was, this is what the episode is devoted to with very little else going on. Mm-hmm. It was
fighting
all about the Mesa.
Yes, I loved it.
Such good stuff. We see Dolores and her army enter through the smoke and the fire, and they start to lead the attack. They're kicking everyone's asses. Oh, sorry, no. A strike team starts to lead an attack back to get the hosts, and they have something cool going on with their vests. I think it's like a...
What was that all about?
The tech lady said she was going to tap into the host mesh network, which would be, it's sort of like what we have for our Wi-Fi here in the house, like 3 different access points that all talk to each other.
Yes.
And that enables the network to work faster over longer distances because you don't have to have your Wi-Fi plugged into just one point. All the points talk to each other and feed it back to the internet. So this is kind of like that. All the hosts have a mesh network so they can figure out where each other are at any given point and communicate with each other, I'm sure, for the purpose of storylines. But the positioning aspect of it.
It's like GPS for them.
They can now set up, they can map out based on the mesh network where all the hosts are physically. Mm-hmm. And so they did this thing, which was pretty neat effect of like the vests that the security team were wearing would light up and that would tell the guy to point in a certain direction and fire.
Ah.
That was pretty badass.
Well, it also makes them visible.
Yeah, it does. I think it was only lighting up on
that rainbow.
I think it was only lighting up on their backs, maybe, but yeah, you're right. But if it means you get the shot off first, then
I guess
you'd stop your ambushers. So they were kicking some ass, and then they find a pile of bodies, which I thought someone was going to spring out of, but it turned out it was like their friends.
Yeah,
it was a pile of their dead friends, and that led to Angela going all Walking Dead on a dude and stabbing him right in the brain.
That was cool. What was she doing? Just standing there,
being a badass. Well, they were wearing these guys' clothes.
No.
Those guys were all naked.
Angela. Well, okay, I'm fast forwarding.
No, this. Oh, you're talking about
when she's alone.
Oh yeah, that's much later.
Okay.
But they took these guys' clothes so they could blend in with the security teams. Very smart. Mm-hmm. Do you think at this point in the host evolution it feels weird to put on these kind of clothes and use those weapons, or are they just like, it's all good, buddy? Because they're used to wearing.
Well, I mean, certainly for new people, it's weird. I don't know how many new people they don't. You know who we didn't see? Hector. Is he dead?
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Like Maeve had the whole posse. They were embroiled in a fight with the Ghost Nation or the Lakota or whoever at one point. But yeah, I was wondering that too.
See, with Felix and Sylvester, maybe.
I guess so.
They were together.
Then how did Lee get out there on his own?
He called for backup, and they were like, "Are you serious?" And he left. But that was just Felix.
Actually.
Where are Sylvester and...
No, Sylvester was with Lee. Sylvester's the asshole, remember?
Yeah.
I think you got them
confused. No, Felix
recently.
was looking at him. He's like, seriously? And he walked away.
Well, I thought Felix helped out with the fight. Helped Hector and those guys. Yeah, he ran forward and tried to save Maeve. Because he does have
Sylvester,
a thing for
you think, stayed with Lee?
Sylvester was definitely with Lee at the time of the phone call. Mm-hmm. But I don't know...
where he went.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Back to...
I hope we'll find out.
Weird... I think that they like the clothes.
Yeah.
Maybe. I would. I'd be like, yeah, give me that gun and this protective armor. And
makes me feel badass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they ambush the guys, take almost all of them out. Cool, except for like the one guy who gets away because we see him later. And Charlotte starts to panic and orders them to make a backup copy of Peter's control unit.
Hurry, yeah.
Good Lord.
Why is this taking so long?
She knows it's like all the data in the universe. And she's like, just back it up, quick.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a USB stick. And they know via their radar sensors or whatever that some of the hosts are on their way to the cradle, which then we cut over to Elsie, who hears them coming over the radio. She knows something bad's going to happen. And they're having a problem copying Peter's data, but this all leads to inside the cradle. Ford takes Bernard to a villa.
Right.
And it's actually a reproduction of Arnold's house. And you were pointing out that you recognize the inside, some of the features on the walls, like the art stylings or whatever it was made
Yeah,
of.
it was that pattern that Dolores kept noticing with the dots and the whatever it was. It's all over his house.
So even though Arnold's house did not exist in the park, I think this was just Ford made a reproduction of it inside the cradle to do what we find out he was doing. So, because we saw that house in episode 1 maybe, but that was outside the park. It was definitely in the real world near the skyscraper where Dolores was looking down upon the world and everything.
Was it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
They were like walking out in the city and walked across the
street. I know. I feel like that was just a hotel because they were out in the real world to have
it started as a hotel, but then they walked across the street and Arnold was like, this is a house I'm building for my family so we can all be closer to the park.
I don't remember that.
That's where she was touching the walls and all that. Yeah,
Okay.
that was definitely outside the park. So this was the reproduction of it. And that existed for a reason, because Ford created Bernard in the cradle before giving him a body.
Right. He was there for many years with Dolores.
Right. And
they
set him
lived
up
together.
with Dolores, because Dolores knew Arnold so well. Mm-hmm. And Dolores was testing Bernard for accuracy, for fidelity. So that's the whole thing we saw last episode, which again, I find kind of disappointing now, kind of a letdown. It seemed like there was going to be some other sinister thing going on.
Maybe there will be.
Present day Dolores is like going to convert Bernard. Oh, that still could be a thing, because Bernard was like her dad. He was her father figure until she had Peter, and now Peter's gone. So she might still want her father figure back.
Maybe she'll put Peter Abernathy's brain into Bernard.
Oh no, but then there's 3 brains in Bernard.
Just stacked on top of each other. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Bernard turns into a cone head. We are from France. So this all led to, like, they did all these fidelity tests, but in the end, Ford was, I think, if I understood what Ford was saying, and it was very
He's very Anthony Hopkins-ish.
eloquent.
Yes.
Let's just say, but it seemed like the point of all this was that in the end, they made Bernard to be a lot like Arnold, but not actually Arnold, because if they made him Arnold, then he would go crazy.
He would get all glitchy.
So he's an original work that's just like Arnold, but not quite. But then he said he's taking back Bernard's free will and like puts his hand on Bernard's face and then cut to Bernard's brain marble. And he's removed from the cradle and he wakes up and Elsie says, the system's back online. Everything's good now.
Why did he take away his free will?
We don't know yet.
Aye.
For whatever Ford has to accomplish next, but we don't know what that is. We just know that Ford's inside Bernard and manipulating him. Yeah, I know. So the security team's all like, hey, the systems are fixed. And they see Dolores and the team on video.
Right. That's the other thing. All of a sudden, everything's fixed. So he just wiped away whatever he had done, whatever virus he had put in there.
If Bernard was actively controlling the cradle and how that tied into all the systems, then as soon as he leaves the cradle, he doesn't have his connection anymore. So maybe it wasn't that he like took the systems offline. It was like he was like force choking the system. Right, like Darth Vader would do. Like he has his hand on the cradle's throat, which is choking out the network. But as soon as he leaves the cradle, then everything comes back online.
But now, when we see him being interrogated by Charlotte and Strand, he's got the same problem going on in his head where he's trying to debug himself.
Well, Bernard is probably fighting Ford.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the same. It's kind of like the same thing that was happening in the cradle. It's now happening in Bernard.
Yeah, which is better for the humans that it's all localized.
Right?
In
You would think
head.
that if Ford wants not the humans to win, why he should? I don't know. I know, but why didn't he just leave the systems down?
Look, we don't know what else he's up to. He's up to something. We don't know. So they see Dolores coming, but they don't know where she is. And it turns out that, like Ashley's about to shoot Peter Abernathy in the head. He's like, fucking tell me what's going on, Charlotte. But then Teddy shows up. And instead of shooting Ashley, he just takes his gun. That was nice of Teddy.
Yeah. He seems to know that Ashley's not so bad.
Maybe. Or there's something bigger going on. But yeah, then they have Charlotte cornered. Dolores doesn't seem happy to see Charlotte, and she wants the key to whatever's wrong with Peter's head, the encryption key, so that she can flush his memory, I suppose.
I think it's more than that. I don't think she's after getting her dad back.
What is she after then?
Whatever's in his head, the key.
But what's in his head, encrypted, seems to be a backup copy of everything in the cradle.
It seems to be, but it seems maybe there's something else.
Maybe it's not a backup copy of everything in the cradle. Maybe it's a backup copy of all the guest data.
Probably.
That would make more sense, wouldn't it?
Maybe. Yes. It's the key to whatever's out there in the valley beyond, in the lake of corpses. Corpse Lake.
The old lake of corpses. Isn't that where Jason lives?
You would think so.
Under a lake of corpses. We cut back out to Bernard. He's seeing Ford in his reflection. I've been trying to think of like what movie that reminds me of, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. But that's something. Didn't I think that was done in one of the Avengers movies, maybe the first Avengers movie, where like the old scientist dude was seeing Loki in his reflection or something like that.
I don't know. This certainly happens.
It seems like a trope we've seen before.
When you go to Disneyland in the Haunted Mansion.
It's like the Haunted Mansion, yeah.
That's probably what you're thinking about.
And so Ford's like, we got to get out of here, get rid of Elsie, da-da-da. And he tells Elsie that they need a vehicle so that they together can go to the Valley Beyond. But that probably isn't what's really happening. But Elsie falls for it.
Right. Elsie's...
I'm going to go get a car. I'll be right back.
I'll meet you downstairs.
I'll meet you at the place where the cars are.
No, she was going to get firepower.
And they need more firepower. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Good for Elsie. I want her to survive. She can't die this season because they killed her last season, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
She's got to have plot immunity for at least one season, right?
I agree, yes.
I hope so. So there was the old Scottish dude. I don't know that we ever got his name, but I don't care. He's just awesome, badass Scottish dude. He knows that Charlotte's been captured. We see a big fight. Clementine kicks some ass and then dies.
Yeah.
But she did kick some ass. That was an awesome little fight scene she had.
Poor Clemmy. Again, dies. This is like the 20 millionth
Clemmy's
time.
had it rough. I mean, she really needs a vacation. She is worn out. Mm-hmm. You can see it.
She needs to button up her blouse, too. She likes the boobies hanging out. Maybe it distracts.
It's just comfortable. You don't sweat as much because you're airy, right?
Do they sweat?
I don't know. I would be if I had to kick that much ass. But Angela gets shot, but she gets away. She gets shot in the leg. And it's hard to tell who's who.
Or in the side.
Maybe. But I didn't know who that was at first. It was a blonde in the black security garb. I didn't realize it was Angela at that point in the fight scene because there was so much happening. We couldn't even see her face. But it was her.
Yes.
She got away. And it was that same dude who was like going after her and tracking her down. Just like the one competent security guy. All right. So then Dolores starts threatening Charlotte. But Charlotte's like, fuck you, bitch. Not smart. I don't know why Charlotte's like grandstanding that much.
She thinks she can still control somehow these robots.
I guess so.
She hasn't come face to face with anybody like Dolores or Maeve, really. Mm-hmm. It's their first time coming face to face with the badassery of Dolores. Everybody else is just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. Bang, bang. You know, they're just...
Charlotte knows that they're heading for the cradle and they're going to do something bad, but she says, like, if you fuck up those backups, you're done. Like, you don't get to come back again. Mm-hmm. And Dolores says that the backups are just chains anyway.
Right. This is
Dolores
very interesting.
Is embracing life such as it is.
And death.
Nice. And death. She just wants to be immortal like everybody else.
I don't know. Because she seems to think that they are above or better than or more advanced than humans because of their immortality. So maybe she's got a backup plan of some sort.
Well, maybe it's in Peter's head, or she thinks it is. I don't know. And then we see Angela at the cradle, all alone, just standing there.
She looked like Tomb Raider, Lara Croft.
Yeah, she did.
Blonde. Mm-hmm.
Tank top and like cargo pants. So security thug guy finds her, and my note here was, why is he talking to her?
Because she's hot. Guys don't have any brain whatsoever when it comes to hot girls.
I feel like I would when the hot girls are trying to kill me.
Well, he thinks she's like...
I mean, we just had a firefight with her. And we had to kill her friend.
I don't know. Maybe he thinks...
This is why he's not in charge. This is why he's just a thug. Because he's stupid.
Sure. He thinks he can get one more in before he has to kill her or
I guess.
decommission her or whatever.
He gives her a chance to put her gun down. He thinks he wants to leave. He thinks she wants to leave with some backups, and then
That's
she
the other
seduces him.
She did drop her gun, so...
Well, yeah, but he had a chance to shoot her from a distance before that was even a conversation. He decided to walk up to her from behind and then tell her to draw the gun. He could have shot her from the balcony where he came in. Mm-hmm. Dumbass. I would have shot her.
Would you?
Yeah.
She's so pretty.
She's very pretty, but...
Still?
You gotta go. I mean, I could get a promotion out of this. A, she's just a robot, and I know that. B, she's been killing a shit ton of people. She stabbed one of my friends in the brain just like 10 minutes ago. And then I have a chance to be the hero and save the cradle. I will totally, like, I'll get a house out of this.
Maybe he didn't see that stuff happening. He didn't see her.
No, that guy was definitely there when his friend got stabbed in the brain.
Well, maybe he just didn't see who it was. You didn't recognize her.
Well, I did for that one. I didn't later when she got shot in the leg. But still, there's no excuse for this guy being that stupid. But apparently he was also carrying a bunch of grenades.
Yeah.
Not a good weapon choice in this kind of environment, I wouldn't think.
Well, he was outside a while ago. Maybe.
You're underground. The less explosions, the better. Because the whole thing could come collapsing in on itself. Couldn't it? Mm-hmm. Shouldn't it?
You would think so. You would think so.
But that's what she needed. She was waiting for a guy with grenades to show up. She didn't appear to have a plan for destroying the cradle. She was just standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All told, very weird scene.
Yeah,
I didn't love it.
I guess she was just waiting.
And then she went out.
And hoping that somebody came in there with some explosives.
Yeah. I suppose, if she was left alone for long enough, she could have just like run from server to server, just punching it or something. Mm-hmm. punch.
She had a gun.
Yeah, but you're going to run out of bullets.
Who knows? It was dramatic.
It was a weird scene, definitely played for drama, which I can't say was ineffective, but I didn't love that scene. But it did end in a kaboom. No more Angela.
I liked it. I was satisfied with this.
You were satisfactory. I'm sad we'll never see her again, though. I really like that character.
Maybe we'll see them all
She
again.
turned out to be fun.
There's a room full of them somewhere.
A room full of Angelas. Yeah, but they need her marble.
Yeah.
So kaboom. As far as we know, the cradle has been destroyed. But was that explosion big enough to really destroy the whole cradle? Don't know. Definitely destroyed the terminal that you used to access the cradle. Probably some of the networking equipment's down. But I would think for like however many parks, 16 parks or something like that, maybe, just maybe, not the whole cradle is gone.
No, I think they blew up the whole cradle.
Well, I don't know where they're going to go for season 3. They're destroying everything. It'll be interesting.
Well, the cradle's just a server.
Well, yeah, but the cradle was the backup of all the hosts.
I know.
Do they have a backup of the backup besides maybe Peter Abernathy's head? We don't know, but it sure is a lot of data. It's expensive.
So they blew up the cradle, which Ford was living in, right?
Right, but Ford had already gotten out.
And Ford got out in Bernard's head. Okay.
Maybe that's all Ford's plan was like, I know the cradle's about to go down, so I better get out of here.
Well, maybe Ford backed up the cradle into his own memory, and now it's in Bernard.
It actually would make a lot of sense if Ford kept his own personal backup of the cradle somewhere. That would not be surprising.
Well, certainly I would do that, especially if it was on site or have a cloud server at least.
Stored on like Google Drive.
You cannot have your own server backup in the same building as your server. You can't.
That's true. That's bad disaster recovery planning.
Right.
That's true. I can't argue that.
So maybe it's in the valley beyond, in the Lake of Corpses.
Maybe it's in Arnold's original house.
Maybe those are all the backups.
The corpses?
Yeah.
God, we backed up each host and thrown them in a lake. For safekeeping.
Or maybe all their marbles in the bottom of the lake.
The salt water helps preserve them.
Yeah?
Well, I don't know.
You think it's saltwater lake?
Oh, fuck, I don't know. It's possible. There's salt lakes out there.
Yeah.
And they were all floating. I guess you would anyway. I don't know, babe. Okay. So at this point, we flash back over to Dolores and Charlotte, where Dolores grabs the bone saw. And you got excited.
Oh my God, I so wanted to see Charlotte's brains just splattering everywhere.
Couldn't they have at least started just to like give her a nasty cut on her forehead before things went to hell? That would have been great. Give her a scar.
Yeah.
Season's not over yet, and Charlotte is due for a reckoning. So here's hoping.
Yes, I can't wait for that. It's going to be great.
Charlotte winds up getting out of that unscathed, but this led us to the TEDDYNATOR scene. There's gunfire. Teddy goes to check it out. Peter seems lucid for a minute, which distracts Dolores. He starts talking as dad. And through all that, Ashley and Charlotte get away. And then Teddy goes out there and starts shooting a bunch of motherfuckers. And then he does like Matrix shit. He drops his guns and pulls out another thing and starts kicking ass. And then Scottish guy gets his face beat in so bad.
Isn't that
Strand?
Strand?
No.
Oh.
Strand doesn't have a beard and mustache.
Strand is the bald guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is badass Scottish guy.
Yeah.
And he's not as badass as TEDDYNATOR. It was close. He almost had him.
And then Teddy
Teddy
pummeled his head into the...
Man, I wish we could see that. Do you think he survives?
Ground.
Probably not, right? You can't.
No.
You can't survive that kind of face trauma.
Although they didn't show it, so maybe.
They didn't show it. Yeah, he could come back, but all fucking mangled. He'll look like that guy from the Goonies, Sloth. He'll have his face all smashed in.
You know what's funny is that are they showing... So they used to show such graphic grossness as far as the hosts go, but they don't seem to show that much graphic stuff if it's a human. Or maybe this was on purpose and he's really alive.
Yeah, there might be.
Because if that was a host, we've seen many of hosts' heads bashed
explode from a cigar.
Right. The rock guy.
The rock guy bashing his skull in. Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. What is up with old Scottish guy?
All right.
We have 3 episodes left. I hope we see him one way or another. Maybe they're just saving it because this episode was so action-packed that later on we'll see someone finding his body and be like, oh, and then they throw up on his face. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
Shows don't do that stuff enough. That would make me buy the realism, but that never happens in a TV show. Okay, so we go back to Peter. He's all apologizing for not taking care of Dolores. She's bawling like crazy. You're bawling like crazy.
I was crying.
I think this is the first time you've cried at Westworld.
I think so too.
You felt bad. Poor Dolores. She's losing her daddy. It didn't seem like there was a way out of this because Peter was pretty badly broken. He said,
like
I love you, baby
fixed him.
girl. And I look over at you and you got tears all over the place. And she gets the saw out. Do you think she was at least smart enough, unlike Bernard and Elsie, to turn off Peter's pain sensors before she cut his head open?
I don't.
You don't think so?
No.
She's going to go for it? Fuck. That would suck.
You know what was cool? During that scene, he was like moving and I could see those pins, like his body was moving up and down on the pins, like they were really there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good special effect.
All right. The Doom buggies get back to the base while there's a knocking at the control room doors. They have Maeve strapped to a gurney. Lee's left alone with her because there's gunshots everywhere. And then we see the control room attack with Bernard's perspective. We don't know how he got there, but he's just standing there while everyone else around him is fighting and no one ever bothers to do anything to him, which I guess he's not really doing anything. You got your hands full, but
yeah, he's not armed. He looks innocent. Not everybody knows he's a host.
He looks confused more than anything.
Right. He just looks like he's standing around going, what the fuck is going on?
Well, yeah, but to that end, I'm surprised the other host didn't try to take him out. Although I guess they know
they probably know he's a host.
They know he's a host. The humans think he's human.
Right.
No one has any reason to attack him. So he just goes over to the control panel and turns off everything. Does a full system shutdown. And but he was questioning Ford. And Ford said this is no longer Ford's story. It's now Bernard's story. Cool. But then he's like, now do this.
Right.
It's not my story, but you're gonna do this.
Follow my directions.
And Bernard acknowledges if he shuts down all the systems, that's going to give Dolores free reign. Maybe just because the humans won't have any like security cameras and stuff left. They won't know what's going on. Maybe that's how it comes down
they
to.
don't have any way to track them. They don't have any way to know where everybody's at or what they're doing.
After the attack, Bernard gets found and Ford makes him kill some dudes. That was one of the last things.
He didn't want to.
And that none of the stuff with Bernard leads up to him getting found by Ashley and Strand and Charlotte. Like, we still haven't seen what happened after the attack on the Mesa and after Bernard kills those guys, but at some point, then he's in that room giving up the location of Peter Abernathy's brain core or something.
Right.
I don't know.
And then they're off in their buggies.
They're still leaving us on... Well, we never saw them leave, did we?
Didn't we?
I don't think so.
I thought we did.
We saw...
No, we saw them leave.
No, we saw the hosts leave. So that was the last thing I was going to cover, which was Dolores and company come into the buggy room where Maeve is lying on a gurney and Lee hears them coming and runs for it.
You would think they would use buggies instead of horses, but they don't know how to drive, so that's okay, I guess.
Yeah. They're not programmed for that. So Dolores and Maeve have a conversation, which they really haven't
talked.
Have they ever talked?
It seems like they met and talked once.
Because Dolores would never go into the saloon.
No, but I feel like they did meet after they awoke, or I can't remember, but it seems like they met and they talked about like they knew each other.
Well, they're awake now and they're both original hosts. They're both special.
How do they know that?
If they have all of their old memories, then they would remember being in Escalante once upon a time, right?
Maybe. You think they have all of their old memories?
Well, plus they have that mesh network. They're definitely able to recognize who's a host and who's not, right? So if they have a lot of their memories, then that would be enough to start a conversation. They never called each other by name. Maybe that makes a difference.
Episode 2, they meet.
Episode 2 of season 2?
2, yeah.
I don't remember that. What happened? Oh. Dolores asked them to join, and Maeve's like, I got something else to do.
Also,
I guess I do.
Dolores tells Maeve at one point these violent delights back in Sweetwater. Remember, she whispers in her ear once? Back before all the shit went down.
No. I thought Maeve whispered that to someone else, but you might be right, because how else would that get around? Yeah, I guess you are right. So they've met a couple times in the show, but just very briefly each time. They don't have a relationship built up, for sure.
No.
But they know who each other are. That's cool. But Dolores offered to put Maeve out of her misery, and Maeve didn't want that because she made a promise to her daughter. But Dolores says the daughter's just another rope used to lash us down. Chains and ropes and all that.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading about when they did meet. They, they said they talked about Maeve wanting to find her daughter and Dolores wanting to conquer the world, and they wanted both goals in the same adventure, but it didn't happen.
No, it does sound familiar now. I think I have a fuzzy memory of like a campfire, like they met at night or something.
Yeah, there's a picture.
They were all hanging out, and Dolores and her friends came out. Yeah,
right.
There it is. Came out and was like, "Oh, hey, you guys."
Teddy has a gun on Maeve.
She's wearing. Want to join us? We're gonna go kill all humans. And Maeve's like, "Oh, sorry, I'd like to. Maybe later.
I have something to do. Right?
I gotta go find my daughter first, and then we can kill all humans. But you go on ahead." Yeah. But at that point, Dolores wasn't like, "Your daughter's just a chain holding you down." So she's really, she's just falling further and further away from humanity. More
into Wyatt Town.
Into Wyatt Town. Wyatt Town, Residence 1. But Maeve, Dolores thought that they're going to torture Maeve and extract out of her whatever it is that makes her special and use that as a weapon. So I was a little surprised that Dolores was like, okay, well, if you want to be tortured and be used as a weapon, that's fine. We're just going to go now. I thought Dolores would do like she did with Teddy and just be like, well, there's only one way to go forward from here. I'm taking control and I got to kill you. Sorry.
I don't know. They don't have Felix and Sylvester anymore with their little iPads. Of course, I'm sure they could have found an iPad somewhere.
They can't reprogram Maeve, but I thought they could. If anything, I thought Dolores might find some method of
fixing her,
having Maeve, forget the fact that bullets don't matter because you're a robot. Kind of like how Dolores is able to ignore the pain.
I thought that she would help her and fix her and patch her all up and bring her with her.
Well, there's no time to fix her, but if you could get her to just stop
the pain,
pretending like bullets hurt, that would be enough. So they leave. Lee was hiding.
He's going to help
He
her.
did not get discovered. So yeah, so he'll be back with Maeve next episode.
Maybe Lee will take her to the Maeve room.
Lee will take her to the Maeve room to get remaved.
Or just bring a new Maeve.
You wait here. I'm going to go get a new Maeve. He runs off.
Or she'll die and then he takes her brain and puts it in a new Maeve.
Could just take her brain out. Always an option. Because unlike humans, where once the body dies, you got like 5 minutes until the brain turns to mush.
Right. This marble's good
It's
forever.
a marble. Yeah. Marbles last forever. Totally.
Yeah.
They're hard and smooth, roll around easily.
It's a sphere. Strongest shape.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the strongest shape? That's cool. That's a good idea for a brain then.
Yeah.
Good thinking, babe. You should be an engineer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. So there we have it. That was episode 7. Holy action. So much happened. And we are really coming to that climax now. I have no idea what the climax is going to be. I don't know what's going to happen at the Valley Beyond.
I can't wait to get there, though.
We're finally getting there.
I hope we get there.
It's just going to be a valley.
Right.
Then you can take a donkey to the bottom. That's all it is. It's like a
12-hour donkey ride.
It's a kiddie ride. You just put your kid on there and just ride a donkey down.
Down to Corpse Lake.
Yeah, I have no idea. There's supposed to be a weapon there. We still don't know what that is. No clue. I have no clue.
I think that it is something to do with robots.
Okay.
Maybe
I had to process that for a second.
Maybe it's another facility.
There's probably some.
There's got to be more
glass-walled rooms
facilities
down there somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see
Probably.
tonight, hopefully, maybe. Or
Yeah.
next week.
Well, there's only 3 episodes left, so they got to keep advancing this. They can't stop now. Unless they do a whole episode devoted to Man in Black getting bullets taken out.
I'm okay. I'm okay with being done with Man in Black.
Well, we're not. He's going to show up at the Valley Beyond.
No, but
He's going to be there for the final whatever the fuck. You're going to have Dolores and Teddy there. You're going to have Man in Black there. You're going to have Lee and Maeve. They're probably going to wind up there for whatever reason. Maybe that's where the Indians hang out.
Is Man in Black going to find his way back to being nice to robots?
I don't think he's lost that. He wasn't going to attack Maeve, I don't think. Maeve attacked him. They could have talked that out. But
yeah, I think you're right.
was probably kind of mad that he killed her so many times.
Well, yeah, and she just assumed that's what he was going to do again.
Yeah. Well, it's probably not a bad assumption. It's not unfair.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When you've got a history built up like that. But yeah, he hasn't really shown any aggression towards robots at this point. Towards hosts. He's
only if they're trying to kill him.
Well, yeah. For self-defense, sure. But he's just been trying to finish his journey. So as far as we know, he's still come to that realization that they're worth saving.
I feel like
that's what this is all about. This is about how Man in Black is going to come to the realization that hosts are worth saving, and he's going to be the one to get Peter Abernathy's brain and restore the databases and give them their backups and treat them like people.
Maybe. I feel like what's his name? Lawrence.
Formerly El Lazo.
I feel like he needed a little more reconciliation. I don't feel like he had enough. Like, you did this to me, you mother.
He was just gunned down. He could be back. Eventually. Future seasons.
I hope so. I hope he goes after him.
It could happen.
More.
Yeah. Cross our fingers.
But I think Dolores will be eventually the one that kills him. If he dies.
Dolores will eventually kill Lawrence?
No. Man in Black.
Oh, Man in Black.
William.
Oh, well. That would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because much like Maeve, she's not going to have much reason to not kill him. Unless he's doing something amazingly heroic at the time. But even then, I don't know.
All right.
It's a pretty hard road to be like, listen, Dolores, the reason I raped you every night for 5 years is because I was trying to use the trauma to make you more human. Aha.
Congratulations,
wink,
it worked.
There, see?
Aren't you so happy?
Where's my thanks?
Without me, you would never be in the place you are today. It's all about the journey.
God, and it was that picture of William's fiance that broke Peter Abernathy's brain.
Mm-hmm.
Was William in that picture too? I can't remember. But
was it Logan or
no.
William in the? Somebody was in the
It's
picture.
definitely sister, Logan's sister. So it must have been William with her. And that's what started Peter
Did they
Abernathy
show
down the
that?
road of crazy.
Did somebody else see that picture eventually?
No, Dolores.
She did.
Yeah.
So did she see William in it?
No, she didn't see anything. Nothing at all.
Nuh-uh.
Probably
Somebody
because
else
a picture
saw
of
it.
William. Probably because a picture of William would hurt her feelings. Not just the fact that it was higher technology, but also it would cause her harm.
Right.
Trauma.
Can't see anything that causes them harm.
Right.
Well,
So many things. All right, we should go. This has been a long one. Last one was a little bit shorter, but now
Really?
we've been talking for over an hour.
okay. Well, let's be quiet then.
So let's go store up our energy and let's get psyched up for the Bethesda E3 thing that's happening in just a few hours as of the time we're recording this. And then we'll watch Westworld and then we'll record some more. And hopefully we'll have voices tomorrow. And if not, that's okay.
It'll be all right. We only have to go to work.
Yeah, work. It's overrated.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Nobody should have to work.
Well, if we all had robot clones of ourselves, we wouldn't have to. That's where this is all going. It's just so we can be lazy.
Yes. I love it. Let's get
Good
'em.
idea, babe. Let's get working on that.
Okay.
I'll get you some blueprints. You can draw up schematics for us.
Seems easy.
Yeah. Just makes things in circles. They're strong.
Like BB-8.
Yeah. He's the best. I'll take a BB-8 buddy.